Okay, so we're gonna do the sternum, and for this part, you're gonna run the rod, which is the main part of the body, straight through it. And to do that, we gotta drill some holes. So, taking my drill again, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm just going to press it against the table here. I don't really need the vise. Slowly just drilling a hole in it. Got the hole almost all the way through. Put holes in this table all the time. And it's almost through. You know what? I will throw it in the vise, just so it stops spinning on me. And there it is. See if the rod fits. Hole is not big enough. Well, the bit is the exact same size as the rod. So I could try cranking it around a little bit and see if that helps. If not, I might go a size bigger. Remember, I always try small before big. So I'm just going to grab the next size bit up. This one should do the trick. I might just poke it through lightly because really don't even need the hole to be this big, honestly. Alright, and it's through. That hole is definitely big enough. Alright, so I can see that goes through. So this is going to be the main body now. But while I have it in the vise, I'm going to drill 2 more holes because the shoulders need to attach to the sternum here. And the rods are going to go straight in. Okay? So this ball joint is going to go straight down. Now I made it a little bit long because I'm not exactly sure how much space I'm going to need, so that I might just grind off or saw off. I'm not sure yet. So for now, I left it as it was. Now, on anything that's rounded like this, definitely make sure that you use the vise. I didn't use it for that first hole I drilled because I had the little tube casing to stop me from going left and right and all over the place. But on this, just be careful. I'm gonna try and actually go a bit size down to kind of pre-drill the hole. If I can find that bit I had before. Oh yeah, I left it over there. But pre-drilling the hole is usually a good idea when you're dealing with a really small space. That way, when you indent the hole, you have something to keep the bit from sliding around. I'm going to go real slow at first. I want to make sure it goes in. I don't want to ruin it. And we're going all the way through. Okay. Well, I think the battery might be dying on this. Let's see if I can, no, might have to change the battery. You can tell we're live, folks. Okay. And, gonna do the same thing on the other side. Yep. Slipped a little bit. That's why it's important to go slow. Well, this side is much slipperier than the other. Alright. And a little bit of pressure and we're through. So, now that hole is definitely going to be too small. So now I'm going to go back to the other larger bit that I had. Oops. Drilling my hair here. And I'm going to widen it, because if I try taking this rod now, it's definitely not going to go in that hole. Make sure you don't put the hole too close to the edge, or else you're going to drill right out of the side of this tubing. And again, you want to do this slow. And we went right through. Good. And hopefully this fits through now. And it does. So the other one now. And perfect. So now that we have these, we have a place to put our arms and a place to put the torso. Okay, so we have the T-fitting. We drilled a hole in the center and 2 holes, 4 technically, in the sides. And this is going to go in here like that. Not straight in like that. When assembling the armature, you got to follow your diagram. So if you look at the diagram, the diagram is like this. So it's actually coming straight into it like this. So you may be wondering, well, how are we going to keep it stable in there? Well, that's where washers come in. So what you're going to need is some hex nuts that are the same size as these rods. So I have these here that go on the threaded rod, and what I'm going to do is, when I'm happy with the length, again, I'm going to cut this, but when I'm happy with the length, I could thread it up to the length I like. Here. And I'll put one on the bottom and one on the top. And now the only movement that's going to happen is going to be this way. So on the armature, you can see he's going to move this way, and he's going to move this way. To give him that stomach and hip movement, you're going to get that from the ball and socket joint. But he's all solid in the middle now. Matter of fact, I'll actually take this tape off to show you what's underneath there, so you know how he works. Just gonna grab some tape for a second. Stand this guy up. He's been through a lot, so you'll have to pardon his drunken posture. He's been stripped of his clay in his head, and I wanted to give you a good feel of what he looked like underneath. Grab some scissors. Or an X-Acto knife works. So I'm going to cut away this tape that I have on him. I wrapped him really tight because you want to make sure that even though it might be screwed and tightened and soldered, that you still have extra support. The joints that are the most important are going to be the ankles, the hips, and right here where I'm unveiling him, because this is going to be another center point, and the center points, so you can see now that where I've started to unravel him, he's already started to loosen up slightly. Now he's symmetrical on both sides, so I'm gonna stop unwrapping him there. But what I've done is I've taken the rod and cut it, see? And I've put 2 washers there and 1 washer in the bottom with a spring. I'm sorry, 2 nuts, hex nuts, and 1 hex nut on the bottom with a spring washer. Now, spring washer specifically I used is because he's going to move his arm this way and he's going to move his arm this way. Now, it's important that you know that it's going to move in both directions, because like I might have said earlier, the ball joint, even though you might solder it, can still loosen because it's not always going to be moving in the tightening direction. If it's moving in the opposite direction, it might loosen up. So what the spring washer is going to do is keep it tight no matter what direction it's moving in. And that's basically how I did it. So you're going to need a total of 6, I guess, 6 hex nuts there, and 2 spring washers. And make sure that you measure everything correctly. And the final piece that I guess I'll go over for this video is on the head. So after you attach your final piece on top that we've gone over with the 2 compression plates, what I did was, just so it's not a stick, give it a little bit of thickness was this piece. It's threaded. It might be threaded to slightly larger than 8/32, but since gravity is just going to hold it there, I wasn't too worried about it. But this piece here is a hex nut that I think is 1 inch. A 1-inch hex nut that I basically screwed onto the top. Yeah, and it's a little loose, but that's okay. And then I just screwed it on top. I think it's, you know, basically visually looks better than just having the rod there, and at the same time it's good to have something on the top that's a little thicker, because depending on what you're going to use for the skull, in which case I used foam, you want to have something that's not completely loose, in which case this gives it a little extra thickness and will adhere to the skull a little bit better. And I'll go over those details after I go over the hands, which is going to be next. And the hands can be tricky, but fun. So we're going to go over the hands next, and I'll explain how exactly I made the hands. And we're almost there, guys. Should be well on your way to having a complete puppet by this point. See you next time.